Here's a question for you. What did you think about that opening drive when we got to the chance? Do you kick a field goal there when Ron decided to punt it? What are your thoughts on that?
Now, hey, that's perfect. That's exactly where I was about to go. Let's get into thoughts on our offense because that was something that I remember. I remember to a T. I was thinking about messaging you and being like, I like that. You know what I mean? It was a third down. We didn't get it. And you saw the camera pan to Taylor Heineke, and he's just like, no, we're staying on the field. And that's a two-part thing, ladies and gentlemen, because quarterbacks do that all the time. But some coaches are just like, get off the field, like sending the punt team on. There's a trust that has to happen between the quarterback and his coach. And for Ron Rivera, mind you, it was 2 yards or whatever. Yeah. We should have got the play before. That's neither here nor there. I liked that. I did like that we went for it and we did. And the problem I ended up having is that when you go for it, that's a great thing to the team, but it also makes you question, especially when with hindsight being 2020 and Joey Sly missing the extra point, it makes you question, do they not trust him? I know he's kicked some 50-yarders and he kicked a 51-yarder, but it makes you question, well, do they not trust him all the way? Like, because if you look at that drive, right after we get the first down, we get like a 3rd and 4 or something like that, and we ended up getting around the same area, and then we punted it.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, wait a minute, because this guy I know he missed one a week ago, but he's 7 of his last 8 50-yard field goals he's hit. So do you trust him? Do you not trust him? Like, what are we doing? And I just think there needs to be consistency because there's no way, and I know Tressway is a weapon, but there's no way that we should be punting the ball inside the 40. If we have a kicker that can kick a 50-yarder, give him a chance. So that was very frustrating to me. I mean, what did you think?
I think it was the start of the game, and Ron was playing conservative and recognizing that field position was going to matter. Yeah. I certainly think weather played a factor into it, the colder temperatures. And there was, excuse me, a report that Tressway said there was a little bit more wind out there than what was really visible because they, on NBC, they're like, there's not, the flags aren't going, so why aren't they kicking it? And apparently they said there was a lot more wind whipping around the stadium at that time. But I think it really had to do with Ron saying, this is going to be a field position game. Yep. My defense, I trust my defense to get out there and do it. And that was the goal. And then, of course, the return happened and there was a net of 5 yards, and it was really bad. So it looked really bad. But I think there's a difference in the call there between September and December on in the evening. And not just because of records, but I think the temperature of the game might have factored that. And it kind of seemed like Ron mentioned something saying that he had seen Joey kicking and he wasn't very accurate from 50 on. He did hit the other one, but I think it was a little bit of a conservative effort at the beginning of the game by Ron.
Yeah, and that kind of frustrated me early, thinking about that. Another thing that I noticed, and this is weird me saying this because of the fact that it's worked before. But one thing I've noticed between what our wide receivers end up doing, we run a lot of comebacks or curls, and when we catch it or wherever we catch it, we'll stop and retreat a little bit. And Jahan has done it, Samuel's done it, and they've done it before, and it's worked. And we've ended up creating a little separation and getting the first down. There was 2, especially early in the game. It was to Terry McLaurin, where he caught it in a spot where he looked like he caught it and he just fell back. It would have been the first down. But he caught it looking back at the quarterback, actually kind of ran back a little bit to see if he can create momentum and got tackled, which ended up creating – that was the first that fourth down that created that fourth down. So that was third down coming into –
yeah.
And so then you have that one. Then you go to the very next drive where we ended up – we had kind of gotten behind the chains and it was 3rd and 22, but then you hit up Samuel and you could tell everybody is just something to kind of get us back in field goal range. And you hit up Samuel on what looks like maybe like a 4 streaks or kind of everybody just kind of going deep. And you hit him up and he immediately he catches it in stride and then immediately stops and looks like he's looking for somebody and then keeps going. Now, I don't know that would have made that huge of a difference, But it was one of those situations where it was kind of like, dude, you caught it in stride, like you caught it ready to go, like get upfield, like that little hesitation to me. And it's something that it's happened, and I've seen it. And I mean, I played a little wide receiver, and one of the things they tell you is to catch it and then kind of almost not reverse field, but just kind of make a little loop out. Just because when you catch it, most times that defender's on the side, so you want to kind of loop, make him kind of come around. So it's what they teach, and it has worked. I just noticed that early in this game, there was a couple critical third downs that it was kind of like that was the difference. And a lot of it was little things like that on offense that it's kind of like, just like, okay, those are missed small ones, but missed opportunities that we have to come up with. We have to come up with that, so.
Right. No, I know exactly what you're talking about. I saw it really early in the season, Curtis Samuel being one of them, where he catches it and kind of stops.
Yeah.
To figure out where am I going next. And like against the Jaguars, it worked. He kept getting extra yardage.
Right.
But right. And it kind of gets frustrating when you're watching. You're like, keep moving.
Right.
So I thought it was interesting. So I listened to a pod and talked about they brought in on offense this in the first half of the year. Exactly what we had asked them to, which they started doing some RPO actions.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked it out there. I thought there was some things, although, there was a time when Heineke made a really big mistake out there. He handed the ball off to Robinson. He got stuffed.
Yep.
And they said had either kept it or I think it was on maybe it was the one that we kicked the field goal on. Apparently, Jahan Dotson was in the slot and was wide open for a touchdown. And but what was interesting, I'm not trying to point out a misplay. I'm talking about a concept. You and I were wanting to see this.
Yeah.
And I was listening to the podcast with Logan Thomas this afternoon, and what he was saying is you could tell that
Logan Paulson.
I said Logan Thomas. Thank you for correcting me. That essentially we kind of looked at what Philly did and said, well, Philly did this, so let's try it. But we haven't been practicing it a lot this year.
Right.
And they said you could tell in the blocking some of the things like Thibodeau made plays because we weren't blocking him. Right. Because, so it's like they brought in a scheme over the bye week because another team had been successful with it. But that's not really our bread and butter. So, Nathan, are you listening? It's not our identity out there.
Let's go.
And it had some challenges. We had some challenges with it.
Yeah. And that's kind of where I went in the first half. And that's what I was leaning towards is that it felt like there was things that were working, but we weren't doing that. It was kind of like we were continuing to go on the script, whatever it was that they had. And once you do that and then you start to get behind, we lose a touchdown. Thibodeau gets the strip sack, and then you have also them scoring, and you're down 14-3. Now it's forcing us to, okay, we have to pass. We gotta step this thing up. And I felt like early on it was just like, get it together. Like what are we doing right now? And I don't know if you noticed this, but there was a significant portion of the game, especially on a couple of those short yardage situations, Robinson's not on the field. Yeah. Including that 3rd and 3 where we run a daggone run to Curtis Samuel. What? No. What are you calling on that, Scott Turner? So, I'm with you. I love those boots. We were talking about RPO, a week ago. Those are the things I love. But to your point, it is like we weren't paid because there was a bunch of times that when Heineke did run, you talk about the one that he ran out, and then you have Jahan coming across on the crosser, and he hits him quick. The one where he comes out and almost should have scored the touchdown. Yeah. The play was wide open. Third and 1, or what was it? I think it was 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1, where he comes around the corner and ends up getting like 20 yards or something like that. Mm-hmm. Those plays were there, but it's just like you said, that RPO. It's kind of like it was almost if like Kirk Cousins was running it. It's like everybody knows you're handing it off, and that's just what I'm going to do. Right. And it's like, but you could definitely be effective, especially with how hard Kayvon Thibodeau was crashing. And those are things that repetition and knowing that stuff. So that's what I got upset because we went away from what we do best. Right. And it frustrated it.
Well, I definitely think so. And I'm trying to stay in the first half because there's but there's things in the second half that follow the same line of thinking here where we do like getting Curtis Samuel the ball and letting him run the ball, but 4 to 5 times a game when they're not working is too much. And like you said, on 3rd and 3, you can do it one time, but he better get it. But on 3rd and 3, you definitely look back and say, man, we got Brian Robinson on the team. We just gave the ball to a guy who's 190 pounds and asked him to run up the middle. Like,
right?
How does that make sense? And we could not run with our wide receivers at all on last night, and so I felt we kept going back to that well, and that well was run dry, and we got away from Brian Robinson. He had over 7 yards a carry, and then the second half he didn't run the ball much. Now I know we had a great first drive, but then we weren't running the ball much at all. We basically just got away from the run, and that's seems to be what our bread and butter is. I also kind of being critical of the offense. I don't know what's happened with our tight ends this year, but they are absolutely no help in the passing game, and to the point where our offensive line is so bad, I almost think we need to scrap it. John Bates needs to be on the field every single play. Because John Bates we need an extra blocker in there. And on that Thibodeau play, we had an empty set again, just like we did in overtime when he made this similar play. This time he got the ball out. He picked up the ball. And I'm hearing Ron was complaining to Taylor about holding on to the ball a little bit. So I haven't watched the play too much. But my concern is the fact we knew their pass rush was a problem. And you just had a really nice play, but now you're at 2nd and 18. You're inside your 10. Is this the time to go empty set?
All right. Thank you. And that had me baffled. That had me literally yelling at the screen. We would have times where we're coming out and maybe an eye, or maybe with the running back in the backfield, and we're handing it off and we're going up the gut. And we're neutralizing Kayvon Thibodeau, or at least running in a way that he's not able to make the play. And then if anything happens, penalty, whatever, we're all of a sudden in 5 wide, as if we, you know what I mean? We're this air raid offense, we can do this. And it's wait a minute, what? It doesn't make sense. And when I think about Kayvon Thibodeau, shout out to him. He had a game. He had a big game. But a lot of that was on us, because if you look at a lot of those, Charles Leno and who was it, Norwell next to him, they're not making the calls. There was the one where it was the strip sack. You see Leno, not that one, not the one where number 27 comes in, gets the free hit on him.
Yeah.
You see Leno, he's got Thibodeau in front, he's got Landon Collins coming into that right gap, and he says Norwell, he's looking through, boom. Nobody sees the corner, which is fine. Thibodeau falls down immediately. So you have the corner coming, who's the most dangerous threat. Norwell can get Thibodeau, because Collins also falls down. Leno, for the life of me, I don't understand what he did. He just stood there okay, let me see if I can get both. Well, obviously the corner just runs around him and gets the sack. Look, I haven't played a lick of offensive line, but one thing I do know playing running back is when you have 3 or 4 blitzers, the number one rule is get the most dangerous guy. I understand Thibodeau was the most dangerous guy for most of the game. On that particular play, looking right in front, Thibodeau falls down. You got to get the corner. But it's little things like that. It's the communication. It's guys aren't sitting here, hey, what's up? What's going on? And it's frustrating. And it goes back to the running game because, Robinson, he had a great game. And you talk about that middle part of that game where he's not really getting much touches. He only had 21 yards. We shouted him out over the last couple of weeks about how he was running the ball and how when Robinson runs well, Gibson is the great, second piece to that puzzle. And it goes right into this. Nick said, are you guys happy with the 2-back system? Yes, if we run both backs.
Right.
If we're running Robinson and we're running Gibson, yes. And it's effective. It's proven to be effective. But when we're just running Robinson and then we really don't, like you said, he had a great start and he was great down the stretch, but there was a portion of the game where they went away from him. And it's we can't afford to do that. That is back to Nate, our identity. That's what we have to do. So it's frustrating, man. But what do you think about this one, the 2-back system?
I'm definitely fine with it. I mean, like you said, I mean, I still think Robinson should be getting the bulk of the carries out there. But I think it's important. I mean, obviously in today's game, it's important to have two guys who can run it. But I'm totally fine with that because they do have a little bit of a different run style, but then they can also mesh the same too, where they both like to run, inside and run hard. And so I like it. I don't know if I need it for multiple years here, but I think it works with the idea that our goal is to have ball control to keep our defense off the field and keep them fresh. We don't like to rotate our defensive linemen out. So having two backs and constantly pounding, you're letting your defense sit and you're taking the pressure off Heineke. So I'm okay with it. Kind of like what we were talking about there. You're talking about, the alignments and when we're going empty sets, think about it from an offensive standpoint. What do they always say? If you notice that your best wide receiver has man coverage, just throw it up to him. Just give him a chance.
Give him a shot.
We're kind of doing the same thing on the flip side. If you're going empty set inside the 10, you're letting the defensive end say, I'm blitzing. I'm going to go get this guy. Because there's no help. There's no protection.
No.
Now, I know some of that is designed to have Heineke get the ball out quicker. They like to do that on third down because they want him to make a quick decision and go because he knows where the players are supposed to be. But I still just like the scheme of that. It's just like that's not the time because of the fact that this happened 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Thibodeau got the best of Leno 2 weeks ago. If it was a brand new opponent, maybe things change. But you just played these guys and saw that he can get the best of your left tackle. Yeah. So we need to, why don't we take that tight end who drops balls anywhere out there, Logan Thomas, and let's just let you block because we need your help blocking anyway.
And that's the thing. That was my thought. One of the things I was thinking coming off of the first game was we need to call Joe Gibbs and we need to say, hey, Joe, what did you do with Giants linebacker wreaking havoc on your offense? Oh, you created a new offense, a single back where you put a tight end over there, Donnie Warren, and to chip him to slow him down.
Right.
Let's do that. If we cannot protect him because for some unknown reason we're running a 5 wide receiver set, and do we have 5 active wide receivers that are threats?
We shouldn't even have 4 on the field.
Right. So it's kind of like, I don't know why you're doing that, but it's still like, look, man, you got to slow him down. Look, no disrespect to that D-line, because that D-line, you got Leonard Williams, you got, these guys, Dexter Lawrence, you got some studs on that D-line, but at the same time, this guy has been wreaking havoc over here. That's where you make the adjustment. That's where you send somebody to chip him. You send somebody just to sit there just to make him go, because if you notice, late in the game, Thibodeau was exhausted.
Yes.
He was tired. So it wouldn't have taken that much to just, get a quick chip, so then he's not rushing the quarter. And it created too many issues for that offense. But I do think we have to go ahead, and we're going to expound on this a little bit later, but we got to
I got a question for you about the offense. All right, and then
I was going to talk about our quarterback.
Okay, that's where I was going with this. So go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, look, he gave up 2 crucial fumbles. Now, mind you, the second one or the first one, he got blown up and, he didn't see it coming. And, that type of thing happens. But still, even on the second one, if you look at that play, there was a couple times when he scrambled and he got sacked on a couple of these. There were a couple times he scrambled. And if you look at the play that he made that made him famous in the Tampa Bay game, where he kind of chops his feet, looks around, finds a little crease and gets out there and goes. There were certain times out there when it looked like that's what he resorted to. He was like, okay, okay, here it comes. How do I get out of here? And he was going, even on the one play where he missed the end zone, if he runs, when he looked like he was trying to dive to the pylon and do his signature move. But if you look like it, he had Dotson there. He could have just had Dotson shield him and cut off of that. Yes. You know what I mean? It's one of those situations where it was like you went to go to that corner. And Kayvon Thibodeau, he's seen the clips. He went right to that corner and shut you down. And that is so huge because we're going to talk about penalties later, but You get in right there. We're not even mentioning some of the, that the illegal formation or the whatever on Terry McLaurin.
Correct.
You're not even worried about the no PI call on Samuels later in the game because he had the opportunity to get in, but it's just iffy with him. He's just certain things you're just like, I'd be smarter than that. Like even on the play that he fumbled the second time, he was just really quick to boop, 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 and move. And if he sat for a second, the way that the D-line and Thibodeau kind of blasted past him, he could have easily skated to the right. Now, in hindsight, obviously, the quick pace, you're going, and it's just you're not thinking about that type of thing. And it was a fluke fumble. It was going down, and it got tipped right at the very bottom as he's going down. But it's just little things like that where you're sitting here and you're like, all right, keep your composure. Okay, let's go this way. Let's try this. And it felt like he was trying to run too quickly. And it was frustrating.
I got a concept or question for you.
Yeah.
What if the reason why we have not been an RPO team is because our quarterback is not comfortable and fluid running an RPO concept? That he's not a fluid runner like Jalen Hurts is to run those plays. Right. And that he's a lot more erratic and herky-jerky and that he does not consider himself a quarterback that can run. Yeah. He's a quarterback that can get out of pressure.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying? And because he was a little careless with the ball on last night, with that fumble. It's like, that's where I do need to look at things a little bit more. But it's like sometimes fumbles happen. It's like we criticize the players for letting it happen for losing the ball, but I feel like sometimes the fumbles just happen in the course of the game. They get punched out, they get whatever. But that one down in the red zone, he was being careless with the ball. He was trying to make a play, trying to do too much. No different than kind of when they say don't do too much with your arm. Let the play, kind of doing a little bit too much. He threw for some yardage. All right. Yeah. He had 17 completions and 249 yards, and he had 3 deep throws. What did you think of those of us opening up our offense with him and throwing deep?
First and foremost, I didn't think, especially that one to Jahan, which was like 61 yards, I didn't think he had that type of arm. I didn't think a lot of his balls had been dying. And I go back to the one against the Colts, where it looked like it was going far, and then Terry had to slow down. With that one, I thought that was nice. Now later on in the game, he has Dotson going down the sidelines on that final drive, and he kind of throws it over the defender, but throws it short, and it looked like Dotson had some room. Or not Dotson, Curtis Samuel had some room up the sidelines.
We had to tiptoe the catch,
right? Yeah. Where if it looked like had he led him, that would have been, he would have actually kind of got him to get more yards and it would have been nicer. But look, I'm not going to act like I wasn't nervous on that one because I was sitting here like, oh, what is he doing? But he had a couple of those that I was like, okay, let's challenge the defense. I like this. I like that you're doing it. And it's always better when it works. Say that. But no, it was nerve-wracking to see, but that pass, it did the damage. But these are the things we can do between the 20s. You know what I mean? Like what did you think? Because I love that they opened that up and I love that it was successful. But I'm always gonna be holding my breath whenever he throws it deep.
Always.
That's just him.
Always. Well, I thought it was kind of so you mentioned a little bit ago about, the Giants pass rush and their D line. So essentially their strength on their defense is just like our strength. It's their D line. Their front four is as formidable as our front four is.
Absolutely.
Their 2 tackles, Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams make plays. Their outside guy, we've talked about Thibodeau, but now we talk about the dude. I think he came from Georgia, Ojulari.
Ojulari,
he made plays in the first game. So they've got pass rush. So I think, when we came out of halftime, the idea was let's throw the ball. Let's go after their secondary because they're weak. And we really went after them with 3 deep throws. And I like that we were trying and attempting to 2 things: open up our offense a little bit, but go after one of their weaknesses. I think didn't two of the throws go to your guy De'Ami Brown?
That's
I'm pretty
right.
sure.
That's right.
So maybe, hey, we're getting him a little more action. I'd like him to come up with a catch or two, but it's not like Jahan's catch was like perfectly in stride either. I mean, he went and got it. So, you can tell that Heineke's not the best deep ball thrower is the kindest way I can put it. But I did like the fact that we tried to open it up a little bit. And the times that we did it. We ran a flea flicker on 2nd and 3.
Yeah.
Like those are the times you can take shots because you have the ability to then, come back. But I do think we just need to be careful with it. Because remember, in that game against Dallas, was it the first play of our possession? We went deep in Dallas and Diggs picked it off. You know what I mean? So we do need to be careful where are we picking our targets and our spots, and are we going after someone who's not as accomplished of a DB back there? But I did like that because that's one of my biggest frustrations of this offense. Like we said, oh man, it's 2nd and 18. We don't have that.
Right.
We don't have the ability to throw it 20 yards. And they were making efforts. So I like that they tried to open things up last night and go deep.
Yeah. Now, my only issue with that flea flicker, because I was like, oh, man, we're in a flea flicker. Like, can we throw it to a Jahan Dotson or somebody like that? Like, I can't remember. Didn't we throw it to
your boy?
De'Ami. Yeah.
We did.
Yeah. Can we throw it to Jahan and McLaurin? Like, and my boy, I'm still kind of iffy on him, man. I absolutely liked that. On that one drive, we had like the 5 straight plays where we're just getting double-digit yards, where De'Ami had that reverse. And we totally caught them off guard. Good. Give him the ball. Let's get him going and things like that. But De'Ami to me, man, if we're going to make a play like that, I need one of the big guys. I need one of the studs. I need one of the guys that's going to make a big play. Shout out to De'Ami. Let's give him a chance. But in my opinion, I was sitting there like,
Well, so now I've got to come back to that where I liked it because – it is well known that Cam Sims and De'Ami Brown are some of our best blocking receivers.
Yeah.
All right. And your guy can run. And so my concern was, and you started noticing this last night, when they came on the field, we're running the ball. It's like when Logan Paulson came on the field when he played for the Redskins. And it's like, okay, we're running the ball here.
Here we go.
And so my concern was we were starting to get a little predictable. And we hit him with a deep threat using one of our blocking receivers. Right. So I was actually okay with going after, because honestly, right now, that's about all I think he can do besides blocking, is run past people because he's got some speed. So I didn't mind targeting him. And I was like, all right, they're getting him in the mix a little bit. I was pretty angry, though, when he tripped over his feet on that ball in the end zone, though, because I thought that was a catchable pass. Like I actually thought Heineke put that in a place where a receiver can make the play. And dude tripped over his feet. And so I yelled at you and I yelled at Sean Tate.
See, that I'm telling you, he still has things he's got to prove to me. That's just my thing. It gets me, man. But I like I said, I was glad that he was able to run it earlier in the game.
Thanks for watching. If you like that clip, be sure to check out the other great content from the Let's Talk Football community. And as always, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when more great content like this becomes available.